we are getting into playoff season for the NFL, which is one of the best times of the year. You really get a figure, and this is about the time of the year, middle to late December, where you figure out which teams are legit. Like which teams can make that possible Super Bowl push. Because right now, like if you take last year into account with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they got hot at the right time and they got healthy at the right time. I think they lost to the Chiefs in the regular season, I didn't think they lost a game for the rest of the season. So it's about getting hot at the right time. And I'm looking at the AFC anyway, and there are after the from the first team to the 13th team in the AFC, they're separated by 3 games. 3 games, which is crazy to me. Because you got the Chiefs sitting at 10-4, number 1. And then the 13th team in the AFC is the Broncos at 7-7. It's just a bunch of teams. We're not, like, as of right now, the Ravens aren't making the playoffs. The Steelers aren't making the playoffs. The Raiders aren't making the playoffs. Dolphins, Browns, and Broncos are not making the playoffs. And the Bills, who we thought at the beginning, like middle of the season, were going to be the runaway top seed in the AFC, are now sitting at 7, tied with the Ravens right now for their playoff spot. Bank, if you had to pick a team right now out of the AFC and in the NFC, who are the 2 best teams? Or who is the best team in the AFC? Who's the best team in the NFC? If you had to put it right now.
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, it's at the point where it's like, there's parity. There's parity in the NFL.
Which is good. Which is good. I like when there's parity. Good.
I also like when there's parity. But yeah, if I had to pick a best team in each conference, AFC, it's hard to not pick the Chiefs here. I mean, they totally, like, I'll just say it, they sucked at the beginning of the year.
Oh yeah.
But they're back. I mean, as much as I don't want to admit it, because I don't want to boost your hubris even further, they're good. You are a fan of a good football team.
I think, was it our second or our third episode, and I remember Trey talking about the Chiefs are dead, and they're not making the playoffs this year. And then, I don't want to say I jump-started the win streak, but ever since I went to that Giants Monday night game, we haven't lost a game. If you catch my drift. I don't want to say I'm responsible for the win streak by any means, but I may have jump-started the win streak. We may have found our mojo in that game.
Yeah, Levi Stadium's a little far away for me to go to a Niner game.
Hey, if the Niners ever... Actually, the Niners wouldn't come to KC until, like, oh gosh, 2026? So, yeah.
Listen, if that happens, and both teams are good,
we gotta make an effort.
We gotta try to go to that, yeah.
So you said the Chiefs in the AFC. What about the NFC? The NFC is like, there are 5 juggernaut teams, and then it drops off.
The Packers, Cowboys, Bucks, Cardinals, Rams.
Yes. There are.
And right now it's hard to say that the Bucks and the Cardinals are the best team, because the Bucks just got shut out by the Saints, and the Cardinals just lost by 18 to the Lions. So, it's really between the Rams, the Cowboys, and the Packers. And again, I can't really say it's the Rams, because they're not even the best team in the... They're not, standings-wise, they're not even the best team in their division. So, I would say that it's probably the Packers. I mean, the Packers are probably the best team in the division, or not the division. So the best team in the division, obviously, but they're the best team in the conference.
Yeah.
Pretty handily.
All right, so if you had to pick a team that, like, not like the best team by any means in the conference, but pick one team from each conference that you don't want to play if you're one of those juggernauts. Like, if you're the Chiefs or the Packers, you don't want to play this team. I got mine. I got my ideas for, like, if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, who is the one team I don't want to play? For me, it's the Los Angeles Chargers, because they can go score for score with the Chiefs. And their defense.
As we just saw them go score for score with
Monday
the Chiefs.
Night Football, they were dominating a lot of that game until the fourth quarter.
What's that? I thought that was Thursday. I think it was Thursday night.
Yeah, it was last Thursday. Oh, I'm sorry. It was last Thursday, so 1 week ago, the Chargers dominated the first 3 quarters of that football game. I would say so. Like, the Chiefs didn't really have any life until that fourth quarter rolls around, and they rattle off 21 points, and the rest is history. The Chargers, I'm going to be really honest. I don't think the Patriots are as good as we think. I think they got exposed in the freaking Colts game because if you force Mac Jones to throw the ball, I don't think he can beat you. Titans, they don't have Derrick Henry. They will get him back, I think, in a few weeks?
I think they get him. I think they'll get him back for the playoffs.
Which is good, but who knows if he's going to be like 100.
Who knows if they're going to make the playoffs at this point?
Yeah, they're on quite a bit of a losing streak in the last few games. The Bengals, I think it's a year too early for the Bengals. The Colts are scary with Jonathan Taylor and that team.
Yeah, if I'm the Chiefs, I'm almost scared of the Colts too, just because how dominant Jonathan Taylor's been since week 5.
Oh, it honestly, if the MVP wasn't such a quarterback award, he is the MVP in my opinion.
Yeah,
that team is not good without Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, you take any and all quarterbacks out of the MVP race because obviously the quarterback is the most valuable position on the field. But like, you take quarterbacks out of that race, it's far and away Jonathan Taylor, and I don't think it's close.
I think it's like this is a whole nother discussion, but I think TJ Watt, if we're not including quarterbacks, I think TJ Watt is second or third in the MVP. If we're not including quarterbacks, like he's right behind Jonathan Taylor in my eyes. But you're right, Jonathan Taylor carries that team, and he's done a really good. What does he have? He's leading the league in rushing and rushing yards. I think he's leading the league in rushing touchdowns.
Okay, I saw a stat. Jonathan Taylor is 5th in rushing yards in the NFL just after contact. He has 1,000 yards rushing after contact.
I saw that as well, and when I first saw that, I'm like, that's not right. How is someone have 1,000 yards after contact? Which, when you think of the Colts, you think they have this amazing. Well, they do have a great offensive line.
They do. They have an insane offensive line, but Jonathan Taylor is just that guy.
They got Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, Eric Fisher, who's been pretty solid for him.
Braden Smith has been good. I don't know if he's still around. Yeah.
And then their other guard, I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, yeah.
But that whole offensive line has been really, really good. So when you think of that he has that many yards after contact is just an insane number to me. And then I look at the Bills. I don't think the Bills don't run the ball, and they don't want to run the ball. But when you're in the playoffs, you have to have a little bit of a run game. Not every game is going to be a shootout where it's not going to be 35-28. Not every playoff game is going to be like that. And I haven't seen the Bills have the ability to run the ball. Like when they played the Patriots, what was it? Would have been 2 weeks ago, Monday Night Football, when it was 14-10, the Patriots won.
I think so. Yeah, when it was like 50-mile-an-hour winds, and I think
Josh Allen still threw the ball 30 or 40 times in that win. Let me make sure my math is I'm thinking the right thing. Yeah, Josh Allen threw the ball 30 times in what was it, 40-mile-an-hour wind?
Yeah, it was crazy.
You cannot do that in the NFL. You have to have some run game. And you also can't have Josh Allen be your leading rusher, yardage-wise, in that game. I think, they threw the ball 30 times. They ran the ball 25 times. It's got to be like 35 rush attempts and then maybe 15 pass attempts, in my opinion. You can't throw the ball that many times. I don't think they want to run the ball. I don't think they like to run the ball. So I can't trust them in the postseason. And Josh Allen hasn't been that great as of late. So that's when I think of the Bills. I really don't think they're that much of a contender. But if I had to pick the AFC, it is 100% the Colts and the Chargers that are the two teams that are like a serious threat to the Chiefs or the Patriots or one of those two teams. Those teams, the Colts or the Chargers, they could be possibly in the AFC Championship game, and I wouldn't be shocked about it. Either team. Then when you look at the NFC, You're gonna like this a lot, but I think the Niners have started to figure things out recently. They're starting to get that run game going. Jimmy G's playing really well. The Niners are a team that, if I'm like the Packers, I think did the Niners play the Packers this year? I think you guys did.
Yes, we did, and we lost on a Mason Crosby game-winning field goal.
That's right. But you almost won that game. So,
and that's when we were trying to figure things out again.
That's my point. That just validates my point. The Niners aren't going to win the division. The Cardinals and Rams are going to win. One of those teams. At this point,
yeah, we're not winning the division.
But the Niners are one of the teams that I think if they made the conference chip, I wouldn't be that shocked. Yeah, it would shock some people. But, the Niners are the type of team that can go on the road to, who would they play right now, as it stands?
They're the 6th seed, so I believe they would play the Buccaneers.
I wouldn't be shocked if they went to Tampa Bay and they beat the Bucs. I really wouldn't. Now, it would, in a lot of people's eyes, that'd be a huge upset. But the Niners are that type of team where they can pull off that upset. They can run the ball really well. They play really good defense. They can rush the passer. Jimmy G, when he doesn't turn the ball over and he makes good decisions and gets the ball out quick, and especially gets the ball to George Kittle, he's an above-average quarterback, possible, I don't want to say top 10 quarterback, but he's fringe top 10 when he doesn't make mistakes. He is fringe top 10 in my eyes. Fringe. So he's 11, 12, 13 when he doesn't force the ball and doesn't make mistakes. I know you might not agree with that as a Niners fan. I'm higher on Jimmy G than a lot of people. So that's why I think the Niners are a real scary team that I wouldn't want to play if I'm the Packers, the Cowboys, and the Bucs.
Yeah, and our biggest weapon is our run game. I mean, we have so many good running backs that can run the ball down your throat. And even if we don't want to have a running back do it, we could just say, screw it, give the ball to Deebo Samuel and let him get 8 yards on a run. I mean, it doesn't matter who we give the ball to. They can run the ball, get 3, 4, 5 every play.
There are certain players in the league that aren't, they have positions kind of, but they're not really what their position says. Deebo's a wide receiver, and he's a great wide receiver, but I don't consider Deebo as a wide receiver. I consider Deebo he's just a weapon. He can line up at running back, he can line up at slot receiver, can line up at your outside receiver. He can do anything for that Niners offense, which makes them that much scarier, and especially recently. George Kittle's been playing really well. You guys are starting to get Jimmy G more touchdowns. They're starting to get the passing game involved. You're starting to gel things together. You guys play the Titans tonight. I think the Niners. I think you guys win that game. I genuinely do.
Definitely can.
But do you have anything else to add when it comes to playoff standings or teams that could shock in the playoffs, AFC or NFC?
I mean, not really. I mean, the Vikings right now are the 7th seed. I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles maybe take that spot, or maybe I don't know. I want to say the Saints could, but
the Saints are also a scary team. The way they lock down the Buccaneers on Sunday Night Football. The Buccaneers better hope the Saints don't make the playoffs. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
Tom Brady is 1-4 against the Saints the last 2 years.
One time that he beat him was in the playoffs.
But Drew Brees had 4 turnovers that game. That was Drew Brees' last game. That was the worst version of Drew Brees I've ever seen with my eyes. He had 3 picks and I think a fumble. And Brady didn't play that well. The defense could have won the game at the end, but if I'm the Bucs, I don't play the Saints are a team that has your number. I think Bruce Arians said it. You can't call this a division rival because the Saints have just been beating the Bucs too much recently to be considered a rivalry. The Saints have the Bucs number.